Hi everyone, I'm Jim MacSween, Chief of York Regional Police. I'm here today with Don Pratt, the host of your show, and I'm here as a guest. I'm here to talk to you about policing in York Region.
Chief, thank you very much for bringing the show in, and we can tell the folks back at Rogers TV that we have our new host should I ever decide to step down. Thanks for being here, Jim. We've had a very interesting and challenging time as of late. And I know that we're all almost getting tired of hearing and saying that, but it is true. It is something that we have to be cognitive of in every show that we do. But I really just wanted to sit back and have a chat with Jim MacSween and learn how things are from your perspective at York Regional Police.
So first and foremost, we're trying to plan now, no different than anyone else around the pandemic. It's provided a lot of significant challenges for a big organization like ours to keep people safe, but also to keep delivering a quality service to the community, knowing that the calls still come in and our people still respond to those calls. So, from day one, we've put together and amassed an excellent team of people from our HR department, our emergency planning department, public safety, our frontline, all of our command to fully engage so we can do what's best for YRP, all under the guise of public health, because it is a public health emergency. And, right. We need to take protection and also provide the best information we can to our members so they can do what they need to do and so we can keep everybody safe. So that's one of the main priorities for us right now. But there's a whole host of others as well on the service delivery side that coming in as a new chief in May, I walked in the door with a pandemic on our hands and also a number of protests going on around the region from the ugly manifestation of what we saw in the George Floyd situation in the U.S.
Yes.
So it's been a challenging time, but rewarding at the same time.
Yeah, you've had an awful lot going on in the relatively short time that you've been there. I mean, you're just coming up to that year mark, and I remember chatting with you actually just shortly ahead of you being sworn in as chief and saying, welcome to a tumultuous time, sir.
Absolutely. But the thing, Don, really is, the thing is, with every challenge comes, and I know it sounds cliche, but it's true, comes an opportunity, right? So if you look at the protests that went on around our region, around North America, and in some cases around the world, it provides us a real opportunity to have a real hard look at ourselves, at the profession, and find and learn from our community, right? Who have a lived experience that we need to be listening to. We're going to put together a community consultative roundtable this year so we can actually move on some of these some recommendations and also, again, to start engaging with the community to have them be part of the solution with our organization, because we have a very good relationship with the community, Don, as you know.
Yes.
It's been the hallmark of YRP for many years, right? And we want to keep that. We want to make sure, reinforce that and continue to work in that vein.
Yeah, you just reminded me of an earlier conversation that you and I had, Chief, when I had basically kind of come to your office to say, we've had, as a community member, I mean, I very much enjoy what I do and my role with York Regional Police. And I've always appreciated great relationships within, including with yourself in the past in different roles. And my question to you was, as chief, do you still have an appetite for the community engagement side of policing in your community? And I believe your answer was three. I think it was just, yep.
It was because I know The reason we are where we are is because of the relationship we have with the community. Any chief that thinks you can do it alone or an organization can do it alone is not doing right by their community. We are part of the community. The community is part of the police. You know, Sir Robert Peel.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
One of his 9 principles was exactly that. The police are the community are the police. So unless we're listening and working together and collaborating, it's a missed opportunity, and it's an opportunity I don't want to miss. I think we've done a terrific job in that regard. As you know, previous Chief Jolliffe, was very big supporter of working with the community. And yes. I'd like to think the reason I'm sitting here is because I believe in the same philosophy.
Yeah, absolutely. No, you know, you said you came from the deputy role, obviously, just ahead of becoming chief last May. But I believe you said that you've been with the organization for just over 30 years?
31 and a half ish.
When you came to Ontario, policing wasn't necessarily your interest.
You know, I'll be quite honest with you, Don. When I came to Ontario, my interest was I needed to to be gainfully employed. It was my interest. I had to find work because I moved here when I was 19 years old. And I wanted to stand on my own 2 feet and be able to, start my life. Grade 6, when I was a young little boy in Nova Scotia, I do remember they asked us one time to talk about, or can you draw a picture of what you want to be when you grow up? And I remember still, I drew a picture of a police cruiser. And I never revisited that again until 1989, until I actually applied.
That's hilarious.
It was then that I really found, people talk about finding their niche. For me, once I started moving in the direction of policing and was hired by York, luckily enough, back in 1989, I really found my passion and something that I really enjoyed. My career has spanned across the organization in many different areas. Like anyone else, I was a frontline officer first, and I still believe that is I said it to other people, I'll say it to you, it's the bread and butter of your organization. It's the face of YRP, the uniform. And no,
that's true. That's who we see every day.
Absolutely. And what I believe in as frontline policing is every bit as important as any other aspect of policing. And like I said, I'll use the term I've said to many other people here, which is it's the bread and butter of your organization. Yeah. And, when we do things great, it's the uniform you see. And when we stumble the odd time, and I talk about the profession, it's the uniform we see. So make no mistake about it, it's a very important role and one that we need to reinforce and support.
Yeah, I do. I very much, as you can tell, I like talking about those relationships in the community, and as you said, it is paramount that you know and understand what's happening within your own organization too. So to know that the executive command is vesting that interest is certainly something of value, right?
I don't like to use coin phrases too much, but there's certain things I do believe in. One of them is leading from the front. I truly believe that you have to put your money where your mouth is when these things happen, and it can't just all be empty words. And it isn't with me. As I mentioned, I don't have all the answers. I know I have a vision of where I believe YRP can be, and the things that are important to us as an organization. But the answers will come from the collaboration and the work we do with all of our people and our residents as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you talked about the day that you walked into York Regional Police. That obviously was not at 47 Don Hillock. That building is much bigger than that. I'm assuming you walked into a much smaller place.
Yeah, it was much smaller. It actually wasn't even at the 17250 Yonge Street location. It was on Millard Avenue. I don't know if you recall that. Millard Avenue, now I believe there's a real estate company there at the corner of Millard and Yonge. That was headquarters back then when I walked in the door. And
no, I did not know that.
Then we moved to Yeah, well, that's where I was interviewed for
Wow.
the job when I
Wow.
first got hired. Yeah, yeah, crazy. And then we moved over to 17250. Had a wonderful time over there working with our regional partners, which, as you know, we have a very close relationship with the region of York, still do. And then with the culmination of this building we're in now at headquarters. We moved to the third floor over here to be closer to our people, and we're continuing to grow. Right, we have a new district being built over on Harry Walker Parkway that will open hopefully by the end of this year, or late fall, early winter,
Yes.
and that's way overdue. We'll and then what we'll do is look at, which we're doing now. We're planning for um, you know to continue occupying 240 Prospect Street, but to provide adequate space here at headquarters because we are growing and we're still getting, the region is growing and we're growing with it, right? So a lot of planning in the background going on,
Yes.
and
Yes.
we plan 10 years in advance for these changes, and so that's just how much work has to go into the background because, and a lot of it's built around staffing, but also around population growth and the demographics in the region, right? No different than any programs we move on in the region as well, right?
So, Chief, I mean, you've kind of taken us from the beginning of your career at York Regional Police. Where do you see York Regional Police going from here under your command?
Yeah. Yeah, well, so when I took the job, Don, I had some priorities in mind. And, one of the priorities and the top priorities for our organization is wellness of our members.
Earlier, you had touched on some of the challenges that that you've seen coming into chief, and even before that, before you were sitting in the chief's office. Um, over your 30 plus years, you've certainly seen a lot of changes in policing.
Absolutely. Yeah, when I arrived here, I think the budget for a police service was, 40 million plus dollars. We had about 700 members. We're now, we now serve, we have about 2,300 plus members, and that's sworn and civilian members. We've grown substantially. We police a region that has almost 3, but it's 1.2 plus million people now. So we've grown substantially over, my 30 years. I've seen a ton of change. I've seen a ton of growth. And with all of that came, tons of opportunity to do things differently and better. And I believe it's what's put York Regional Police on the map in the country. Probably in the country in many respects. When you look at technology, when you look at our diversity, equity, and inclusion, and the way we embrace and work with the many diverse communities around this region, I believe we do an amazing job. I believe our people and right up to our command do a terrific job engaging with people and spending time in areas where we need to spend that time to, again, no different than any other specific issue. It's, again, engaging and listening and actually learning so we can, on the inside of the organization, make command decisions about, are there changes required, because things do change. I mean, you talked about it, Don, how, when I come into policing, there's been a lot of change. That's not going to stop with technology and things that are moving very quickly in the area of innovation. We're going to see those changes, and we're going to have to adapt and be quick to respond and move so we can, enhance our profile, but enhance the organization and our capabilities to be better
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you talk about some of the changes in policing, as you know, we have great opportunities with chatting with some of your other members of York Regional Police from all areas, and when you think of, in the K9 unit where they had one dog and one handler at one time, and now look what they're up to. They're many, right? Even with technology, it's huge.
Yeah, technologies, as you know or may not know, we have an advanced analytics and business intelligence solution here at York Regional Police with the idea of providing the best resource, the best ability for our frontline members to access information to allow them to do their jobs in a more efficient way. A better understanding of crime trends, where crimes occur, information on where we need them spending their time from a community engagement, visibility standpoint right through to a crime standpoint. And even in certain situations, Don, when we have an issue around the globe that might have a local impact within our region, we have the ability through our real-time operations center, which is staffed 24 hours a day, to make sure we are aware of those world events so we can provide the best level of service at a local level.
Yeah, you kind of just brought it back to something you'd mentioned earlier. We were talking about the relationships that you maintain with the community, and you obviously see the value in that. But it goes a little further than that. I mean, the relationships that you build with other members of the community. You referred to mosques. Well, through your diversity bureau, you've already built those relationships. You already have somebody on speed dial, don't you?
Absolutely. We have a list of all of our community members around the region, and on a moment's notice, we can tap into that information and know who to talk to, when, and at what location on a moment's notice. So as an example, and I'll revisit the protests last year, one of the things I did initially was pull together our list of all of our community members, some of which I hadn't even met yet because it was, I'd walked in the door and it was unfolding really. Yeah. And I actually reached out personally to most, if not all of the community members to tell them they had my support, our support as an organization, and to find out what we could do to support them in their endeavors as protests went on, and to make sure, obviously, we wanted to make sure people were safe, and that, but also provide an opportunity for them to make, have that opportunity to be out there in the community and bring a heightened awareness to a situation that tragically unfolded the way it did in the U.S. So just an example of how we would have an ability to do that. I probably had those phone calls out by the next day or the day after to every one of them to actually pull together a conversation around what can we do together. And again, those calls are going out now through our Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Bureau to actually figure out who from all of our community groups want to participate. And we're going to move in that direction. We're going to be doing a lot of work in that area in 2021. And I'm hoping to, and I can also tell you just on the inside, Don, as well, I also had to pay particular attention inside our organization because, as you know, we have a lot of members, both civilian and sworn, that are Black members as well, working for us.
Sure.
And as much as it has an impact on the outside of the organization in the community, I think it goes without saying, it also can have an impact inside the organization, and how we respond is important to everyone, our community and our people. And I actually pulled together a conversation with our people as well to let them know, they had our support, and that we weren't going to let this just be something that passed. So we'll see how it unfolds in 2021. And I'm sure we're going to have a lot of ideas come to the table, and we'll figure out where we can make change, all for the betterment of our community.
Yeah, I mean, your facilities have to keep up with the growth of the region. There's no contest, right? You're growing in numbers to keep up with those demands, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we want to provide our people with and the community with up to date facilities that are really giving them the best space possible so they can do the work that they have to do in a facility that's modern and that is as efficient as possible. And that's part of it. You would have seen already, Don, that we opened a new marine facility this year,
Yes.
or sorry,
Yes.
in 2020,
Yeah.
late 20
Yeah.
September, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So another growing piece, and that's been in the works for many years. And I can tell you, the community up there and our members that are occupying that space and working in our marine area,
Right.
they really enjoy it, and we've given them an opportunity to grow because we know that area is going to grow as well. So.
Yeah, it most certainly is. So, Chief, I mean, you've kind of taken us from the beginning of your career at York Regional Police. Where do you see York Regional Police going from here under your command?
Yeah. Yeah, well, so when I took the job, Don, I had some priorities in mind. And, one of the priorities and the top priorities for our organization is wellness of our members.
Yes.
We have a new 6-year wellness strategy that was developed and started in 2020, and that will move through to 2025. In that wellness strategy, we approach, there's a lot of conversation in the community, in the policing community right now around mental health. And,
yes.
The psychological component of wellness is just one aspect of it, right? We look at wellness from multitude of aspects.
Sure.
We call it our psychological component, but the psychosocial, spiritual, and biological areas, those 4 buckets, if you will, when they converge, they all converge on wellness. And you have to be looking at the wellness of people from a multitude of areas, those areas I just mentioned. So one of the things we're doing with our strategy is to try and, you want your people to be well and you want them to have access to services. As you know, Don, we have a number of psychologists here at York Regional Police to help us in this regard, because I'm no subject matter expert in that regard. However, we are looking to find ways to provide better access to our members, because we know if you reduce those barriers to access and provide them an opportunity to engage the services that are required at any given time, that's just going to keep our people healthier and more well. So we can, again, have them coming to work more, have them off less, and ultimately that provides a higher quality service to the community. It's again, taking care of your people on the inside so you can continue to reinforce the great work on the outside that we've done over many years. I can tell you that one of the highlights of this strategy right now is we have what's called an embedded program. So a number of our experts went to LA, Los Angeles, either the beginning of 20 or late 19, to study their model. And one of the Cadillac model really is an embedded service where you have the requirements, or so for example, a psychologist and a member from wellness and those sorts of things actually accessible to people. So we have an embedded model working. We are in one of our districts right now, we have a pilot running to see, how much more our people will access services when the services are there working with them day in and day out. So far, it looks really good. And right. If it's successful, we'll move and ensure that that's available to all of our members across the organization at all of our facilities and districts, so they can access services when required, but be, know that they're going to get the help they need. And it may be, in some cases, just somebody to talk to. So this is a growing trend in the industry of policing. You're hearing about it across the province and across the country.
Absolutely.
A lot of police leaders are looking at this, and We believe this is going to significantly improve the wellness of our people, and we're hoping for great things in the next 5 years.
Yeah, and we've talked about that before, and I absolutely agree with you that the wellness of your own people, and not just the wellness of them, but that they know that they're actually being cared for and watched for by those that they answer to.
Right.
Chief, I got to thank you for taking the time out to come on the show. I mean, all of a sudden, here we are. We've already spent our 30 minutes. I could do this with you for another 2 hours, but I don't think time will allow today. So again, sir, thank you very much for the time. And they're telling me in my ear that if you ever want a job as a host at Rogers TV, no application needed. Just give them a call, okay?
I need to make sure I do a good job here first.
Okay.
Thank you. Thanks, Don. Nice seeing you.
You as well. Thank you, everyone. This has been a great show. Look forward to seeing you again.